Johnny Mac and Jody Mac here with you on Birds 365, hour number 2 coming along, and Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philly, going to jump in with us coming up in less than 15 minutes. Oh, by the way, rooting interest this week for you Eagle fans out there, certainly 1 o'clock. You'll all be tuned to the Birds and see if they can beat the Titans, which I want to get to something in just a minute, and then we'll carry it over. I want to ask Dave Zangaro about it as well. But in other action this weekend, there's a couple 4 o'clock games and a Sunday night game you want to pay close attention to. Yeah, I would suggest you start rooting against the Kansas City Chiefs. If you want to see your buddy, your boy, Jalen Hurts win an MVP. And oh, by the way, I watched the Kansas City game this week in the late window before the Eagles played on Sunday night. Mahomes didn't have a great game. He threw for 300 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. Kelsey got another one. And that boggles my mind. How Kelsey continues to get touchdowns on a week-in, week-out basis. He's not that fast, but yet he scored. And they're all not all just 4-yard touchdowns. They're 30-plus yard touchdowns. How do you not cover that guy? How do you not have someone on him every step of the field? It continues to amaze me. And I give him credit for that. Mahomes is good enough to get him the ball. It's a combination effort. It's not all Kelsey, but I don't know that Kelsey gets enough credit. He should be getting some MVP consideration. But I would be rooting against the Chiefs if you want to see your boy Jalen Hurts, or if you wagered on Jalen Hurts winning the MVP. But the 1 o'clock window, aside from the Eagles game, come with me, folks. Everybody jump onto that JETS, Jets bandwagon, because they're in Minnesota to take on the Vikings, which John may not believe in the Vikings. I have my reservations about the Vikings. They're the only team that are within 1 game of the Eagles as of right now. They're the only 2-loss team in the NFC. Eagles 1 loss, Vikings 2 losses, and everybody else has a minimum of 3 thereafter. Yeah, go ahead and root for the Jets this week. Jump on that Jet bandwagon. Mike White looked like the future of the New York Jets this week. He's taken over. He may never be unseated. He may be the Jets quarterback for the next decade. All right, maybe I'm gilding the lily a little bit here. But he did throw for. Here's another question for you, Johnny Mac. 2 unfair questions I've thrown at you this day. Mike White for the Jets last week threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Only 3 other Jets in the history of the franchise have done that twice in their career. Mike White has started 4 games, and he's already done it twice in his career. 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes in the same game. Who are the other 3 Jet quarterbacks who did it?
Well, I gotta throw Chad Pennington in there. No. I'm thinking of high volume throwers.
No, turn back the clock to their Hall of Fame quarterback.
Joe Namath.
Joe Willie's one.
Richard Todd.
Richard Todd, you got the tough one. You got the hard one. That's the hard one out of the group. Very good.
Yeah, he was somewhat high volume there for a while. I'm trying to think.
Skipping is the one who was infamously selected before Dan Marino.
Ken O'Brien.
Kenny O'Brien, who also came here and quarterback Philadelphia
Eagles. That was an easier one. Yeah, I should have got Ken O'Brien.
The Todd one is tricky. Todd. And Pennington, no. Vinny Testaverde, no. I was kind of surprised by that.
Oh, Vinny. Yeah, I would have got to Vinny eventually.
He was a high volume guy, but there's only now Mike White, only the 4th in the history of the Jets ever to do that. So feel free to jump on the Jets bandwagon with me this week, guys, because you want to see Minnesota.
By the way, here, if anybody wants a prop bet, I guarantee Mike White's over 300 yards passing against that pass defense. I guarantee it. Now, the thing about Minnesota, they turn it over a lot. They might intercept him 3 times. It might be one of those deals. But he will be going up and down the field against that pass defense. I guarantee that.
Yeah, Vikings pass D is not great. You and I can agree on that. All right, John, we're going to start to look ahead even though we're only on Tuesday for the next Eagle game. Can they get their 11th win on the season against Tennessee coming in this week? Here's my concern, and it has to do with your boy. You know, I go there whenever I'm going to critique the defensive coordinator, who, again, let me say, I'm a fan of. I like him. I think he's done a damn good job since he got here. Those that want to run him out of town are ridiculous and ludicrous, but I'm not afraid to point out every once in a while when I disagree with something with the DC. And this is the Jonathan Gannon question this week. Cincinnati shut down Derrick Henry on Sunday. It was my incorrect pick. I thought it was the lock of the week. Tennessee getting points at home on a revenge week against Cincinnati.
Yeah, they get Cincinnati's got their number, man.
Beat fair and square. So I did some reading. I watched some of the game and then I did some reading afterwards. Apparently, they went to a specific defense to shut down Derrick Henry. That was what Cincinnati employed this past Sunday, with oftentimes 8 and occasionally 9 guys in the box against Tennessee, and just dared Ryan Tannehill to throw the football. They advertised ahead of time at the line of scrimmage, oh, we're going to stop the run. You want to try and run against this? Bring it. We're going to stop you. And they did. Jonathan Gannon never does that. He never sells out for the run. It's just not in his DNA. Supposedly, the Bengals put the blueprint out there as to how to beat the Tennessee Titans. Will Jonathan Gannon buy into that blueprint this week? All right, did we lose Johnny Mac? I'm not hearing Johnny Mac. All right. Don't know. Did we lose Johnny? Let's see if John can read my lips. Are you hearing me, John? Oh, you're hearing me and I'm not hearing you. I don't know what the deal is here, Tone.
I muted that was my fault.
All right,
my
Johnny Mac is back. Yeah.
This is my coughing. That's my fault.
No
yeah, I got to do a better job with that. That's on me. I got to get better, just like Jonathan Gannon.
You got it.
I'm trying to mute when I cough, but I've seen no evidence, getting back to your original thought, I've seen no evidence he's going to do that. A.J. Dillon is a perfect example of what can go wrong with, and he's not Derrick Henry, when you have these light boxes against these big, powerful backs. And boy, I don't think they're going to change their philosophy for 1 week and then try to go back. Do I agree with that? Not necessarily. I don't think Ryan Tannehill can do that much damage to you. I mean, you saw a big play from Treylon Burks. He's starting to come on a little bit, by the way. Really talented kid. I don't think they can hurt you that way. So I don't necessarily agree with this philosophy of always playing light boxes and limiting explosive plays that way. And oh, by the way, you gave up an explosive play anyway to Christian Watson. So, you also have to
four plays of over 20 yards last week by the Eagles defense.
And you're also dealing with Reed Blankenship, and you're obviously Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, we know, with the lacerated kidneys, not going to be out there. Amonte's still not going to be back. So you're dealing with lesser players in the secondary. So the Eagles want to protect them. Strap it up, man. Derrick Henry's coming. It's goofy to me. This is probably the only team in football. Nah, I shouldn't say that. But there's a handful of teams. We just mentioned one of them, Minnesota, play the exact same way. There's a handful of teams are just not going to do it. And they're just not going to do it. And they don't believe in it. And the Eagles seem to be in that category. And I don't agree with it. So don't shoot the messenger. But I don't agree with it.
You don't agree, nor do I. And that's my biggest complaint about Gannon. Overall, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's got a good system in place. against most teams. The Eagles rank where they rank in the key defensive statistical categories in the league, which is better than some of the critics of Jonathan Gannon would have you believe. They're good defense. But his complete inflexibility that our system, our philosophy shall never be questioned, shall never be tinkered with, that on a handful of plays over the course of a game, you can't actually vary your defense. Yeah, I got a problem with that. And that's my problem with Jonathan Gannon, that he so believes in his system. He says, all right, well, if you beat me, you beat me on that given play. But overall, over the course of the game, we're going to be better. How about
now
those
let me just say
plays
this.
you just adjust and make better plays? Nobody's asking you to change your philosophy or your system. We're just asking you to show a little flexibility within.
Now, let me say this. The flexibility is the 4-man versus the 5-man fronts. They might play more 5-man fronts because it's Derrick Henry, and it might work out. Now, the issue to me comes where, they don't play enough 5-man fronts and they go into this 4-man over front, which would, for a lack of a better term, where they're playing single high safety. Now, they're going to play not single high, cover two look, and then they spin off usually in the quarters coverage. That to me is the problem. If you see that, you're in trouble. If you see that too much, if Big Linball's out there and Sue's out there and they're playing the 5-man fronts, then they got a better chance. They got a better chance to at least hold up better against Derrick Henry. But these big 8, 9-man box, they're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. That's just my thought. And until they do it, I'm going to say they're never going to do it because I haven't seen it.
The evidence supports your stance and Jonathan Gannon's stance, but the evidence also supported that the Eagles can be run on, and you got a really good running back coming in this week who could make you pay some pretty big prices. Johnny McMullen and Jody McDonald, your Mac Bird 365 guys. We are scheduled to be joined by Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philly, their outstanding Eagle reporter. He's up next here on Birds 365.
At Pond